Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Doesn't matter. I edit it too, so don't worry.
Yeah, no worries.
I didn't want to spook you there.
It's okay. I do Zoom all day, so
Okay.
I'm used to the recording.
Well versed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, sorry, I got something in my throat. Let's start over.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. Welcome to another episode. All right. We're gonna take a sip and then we're gonna do this right.
Go.
Can't even say the name of my own show. Welcome to another episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my guest is Diego
Terraza.
I've never had this before. I've never screwed this up this many times. Ever. All right.
Go ahead. Shoot it again.
Welcome to another episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my guest is Diego Terraza. Diego, tell us a bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into this.
Hey, Glenn. Thank you very much for having me, man. Excited to be here. I've heard the show a couple of times, and well, it's good that we're investing in the other side now. Glenn. So for those who know me, you know that I worked with Matt McKeever and Adam Martin. I was wholesaling on that team. Now I am pretty much doing my own thing. So started wholesaling with them back in 2020, at the beginnings of 2020, through all the pandemic and everything. And then this year, I decided to, just take my own route. After, learning a bunch from those guys. It was fantastic. Like, I learned a lot. Did a lot of money in wholesale fees last year. So that was great. Now moving to other things and just started my portfolio.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You don't have to share this if it's too personal, but I'm like, were you like an employee there, or do you get paid on commission, or how does that even structured to get you paid?
We were pretty much on commission. So we had a split for every wholesale deal.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a cool way of doing it, right? Because you get to learn everything else, and they get to do that.
Yeah. It was great. Like there's a lot of things that I could have learned by myself, but having them as mentors and like having Matt and Adam as mentors was great. It definitely accelerated our learning curve.
Yep,
for sure. So learn a bunch of things that it would have taken me probably longer by myself. Okay. So it was great. Yeah.
So take me down the track now. So okay, you're doing wholesaling with Matt and Adam. Then where do you go? How do you transition to the States? Did you do some Canadian stuff first? How did the path go?
Yeah, so basically it was just purely wholesaling, right? We want to focus on wholesaling. 2020 and 2021 was focused pretty much on wholesaling, not keeping anything, which I think at the end there was some deals that it was a mistake not keeping them, because I could definitely have made way much more money than actually just wholesaling them. Yeah. So definitely a lesson there, because back in 2020 I still got deals for like $200,000. Like I got a deal in Stratford for $220,000, I think.
Yeah.
And the house sold next summer or next spring for $550, something like that.
There's a little bit of wiggle room in there, a little bit of space.
Yeah, there was a little bit of wiggle room. Yeah, exactly. And then I focused a lot in Barrie, and I think I was the kind of like the first one that started like doing the flyer campaigns like really heavy there in Barrie. And I got a lot of deals there, and again, also really great deals that I wholesaled that I should have kept for sure. So after that, like, we had some cash and everything, but just basically because of the commission split and just living costs and marketing and all of those things, it was not as much as like I liked, right? So I was like, okay, I could buy a property here in Canada, or I can go buy a property in the US, right? So definitely started really researching a lot more. And then I actually listened to a bunch of your podcasts and what people were doing and everything. So, I checked New York, and then I checked Detroit and all of those that are kind of like around us.
Yep.
So I was like, you know what? I'll check Cleveland, right? So I checked Cleveland, and I talked to one of my buddies back in Guatemala, and he was like, I'm down to, put some capital as well to start buying properties.
Yep.
And we are like, okay, cool. So we started looking, and then, I started, what's the best way of getting good deals, talking with wholesalers, of course. So I started networking with a bunch of wholesalers in Cleveland, in Columbus, and in Indianapolis.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, guys, and just start to put myself on a lot of wholesaling lists. And then, I got a really great deal on my email, and I was like, okay, let's jump on this one.
So you just listed a bunch of markets, and you settled on Cleveland. Why settle on Cleveland rather than Indianapolis or Columbus or any of the other markets?
So I started my LLC, and I talked to the CPAs that you recommended me, which they're great. So he said, like, yeah, I would recommend like Ohio. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cheap. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So I just analyzed like a lot of markets, and I know Indiana is good, and I liked Ohio too. And I just saw, pretty much because of eviction laws and how landlord friendly the state is. And like, I mean, in Ohio, you just take 30 days to evict someone. So I was like, okay, cool, right? It's not 6 months like here in Ontario. So 30 days, I can do that, right? And then basically I saw Cleveland, and I just checked, like, Cleveland is growing again, starting to get a lot of jobs. I'm focusing a lot on around the Cleveland, the clinic area, right? There's a bunch of people, there's a lot of appreciation there, weirdly. I mean, there's pockets in Cleveland that are terrible, but yeah, I mean, there's still places that are getting appreciation in Cleveland, and the cash flow. I'm pretty much what I'm looking for right now. It's cash flow. So I figure Ohio was a great place to get cash flow.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense. Okay. So sorry, I sort of derailed you a little bit there.
Yeah. No worries.
So you got your market, and then what happens? So you're talking to wholesalers. How does this first deal go down?
Yeah. So I'm talking to wholesalers, and I found this great wholesaler. He started sending me properties, and he was like, hey, I think this kind of like matches what you want. And I like this guy because he's sending me the properties with kind of like fully analyzed and everything. He's sending me the comps, and they're not like, they're not choosing the best comps. They're actually telling me like, hey man, like, there's this house on like right next to it that's sold for this, right? Because there's some wholesalers that will just tell you like, hey, the ARV's 100,000 because a house 5 miles away sold for that, right? Which is dumb. But so this guy's sending me like actual good comps, a full-on breakdown on the expenses and everything, taxes and all of those good things. And he's also attaching an inspection report already with the properties, right? So with me being like all the way here, not being able to cross as easily, because I could do the drive 4 hours and a half to Cleveland since I'm in London, but you don't want to do that. Right? So our inspection report was like, okay, great, I saved myself also $400. And his wholesale fees were not like terrible. I mean, this deal we got it, and his wholesale fee was like $3,600. So
yeah, that's not bad.
Pretty good. Yeah.
When I started investing in the US, I did it by myself and had to go through the growing pains of doing that. GlennSutherland.com/coaching. A 12-week coaching program done 1 hour per week over Zoom from the comfort of your own home. Classes are kept to 5 people to be able to answer everyone's questions. Shortcut the process. Make fewer mistakes. Curriculum available at glensutherland.com/coaching. So what kind of property is this? Do you need renovation? Is it ready to rock? Or what are you thinking?
So,
what are kind of
so it's a single family. It has 3 beds, 1.5 bath. No, it does have a garage on the back. It's on okay shape. It's rental shape.
rent ready?
If you
Yeah.
wanna see it like that, yeah. It's really different what people here in Canada see as rental, like a nice rental to rental that you can rent in Ohio.
Yeah.
It does need some work. I mean, I talked to the tenant because we inherited a tenant, but luckily for us, she said like, hey, our lease is because we just closed right now in December.
Yeah.
So she was like, yeah, my lease is done right now on the 31st, and if you give me 30 days, I'll leave. And I was like, okay, fantastic. If she stayed, it was not a big deal also because we ended up full on paying for the whole thing, $33,000. And then
And what was her current rent?
$650.
Okay, so you're still at the 2% rule.
Yeah, so it was a solid 2% rule. So I was like, this is completely okay for me. Because she's paying the utilities and everything. So I was like, okay, cool. And taxes were like nothing, right?
There's not much either.
Nothing. It's like $2,000 for the whole year. So so we're good. It does need some work. There's the siding is a little bit rough. It's painted with a horrible green color on the outside. Luckily the roof is okay. Mechanicals are also good. They should be good for a couple more years. There is some pest control that we have to do for sure, because I talked to the tenant and she said, yeah, there's roaches and stuff like that. So definitely
that can be done
pest control.
Yeah.
And then just some fixtures, I'm guessing, but I don't think it needs more than $8,000 or $10,000 to live it nicely enough for the neighborhood to rent. But I talked to the property management already, and they already said like, yeah, we could probably make some fixes, just clean it up a little bit. Maybe if we paint it on the outside with a better color, and just paint again the walls, just do minor lipstick thing, we can probably increase the rent to 800 around there. So
that's good.
I'm happy with that. Yeah.
All right. So that's what I was going to ask you next, so what you're going to move it up to. So at this point, the tenant hasn't quite left yet, right? So you haven't started on all this stuff. Yeah.
No, she has like 11 days left, but but the property management, they already put a 3-day notice on the door, and they're already doing either way the 30-day thing. So they have like legal grounds to actually kick her out if she doesn't leave by the 30th.
I was going to mention that now.
Yeah.
It's actually smart to like actually go through the process of that, just in case, because people say whatever they want to say.
Yeah, no, also I want to, the neighborhood is kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, when you listen to $33,000, yeah, guys, it's kind of rough. But I mean, you can't have everything. So what I wanted is like property management to, she leaves immediately, change locks and just like do everything and just pretty much secure the house, because people get in.
Cool. So you're gonna do this reno, re-rent it. Is there a plan to put financing on? What's the future of this thing?
I don't know if I want to put financing on that one, since I mean, I could probably put a line of credit on that one if I need for repairs for another house or something like that. But kind of like doing a burr on such a small house, I don't think if it's worth it. ARV should be around 65 though. 60 to 65. So I mean, I don't know. I've been, just bringing some things, and if like the Fed starts spiking rates in March and they start really just giving us a couple of points more, then I mean, I think I'll be good with that, because it's paid off fully and just a good asset to have free and clear.
Did you, for your first one, did you put in your own name or you go into an entity right off the bat?
Oh no, it's right off the bat to an LLC. So yeah, it's really important for everyone to listen to. Like Glenn talked with CPAs that are fantastic. They're out of Michigan, and then yeah, he pretty much suggested doing the LP and the LLC.
Okay.
That way we don't get double taxed and all those good things, right? So no, directly to an LLC. That way it's just more secure.
Okay. Going back a bit, you came from a wholesaling background and then you're working with wholesalers. Is there anything that you do to make it easier to work with these wholesalers, or any tips in that direction?
Yeah, 100%. I would say I do ask for really clear pictures of everything. So there's a bunch of wholesalers that don't send a lot of pictures.
Right.
And like I said, this guy, he sends pictures of every corner in the house, which is what I used to do, right? I would take pictures of absolutely everything, because there's a lot that you can tell about a property just with the pictures, of course. But if the wholesaler is willing to send, hundreds of pictures of the house plus a couple of videos and they are clear, then that's a good thing, right? They're not hiding anything. So because normally wholesalers, they just go and they like, oh, I'm gonna take pictures of like kind of like the okay parts, right?
Yeah.
And I think the difference there is that there's a lot of shady wholesalers in the US for sure that are just trying to make a quick buck, compared to us that we were actually building a business and wholesaling. So for us it was super important, like actually to giving customer service and everything, and just like really handheld the deal to the investor. But there's a bunch of wholesalers in the US that are just looking for the quick buck. So
yeah. And when you're talking to them, do you just say like, find me a deal, or did you give them a criteria, or neighborhoods?
Yes.
I was just wondering.
So the good wholesalers will ask you, what's your criteria, right? Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for over $100,000 properties? Are you looking for just those $30,000, $20,000? Are you looking for a full fixer upper? So yeah, basically what you want is just to give your criteria to the wholesaler, and then he actually starts sending you deals with that criteria, then he's a good wholesaler. If he's just blasting you every damn deal that they get under contract, it's not a good wholesaler. Like I tested one and I paid for an inspection on a house that had, it was a really good price. So I was like, okay, let me and I was like, do you guys have an inspection? And they were like, no, of course not. Most of the wholesalers don't give inspections. So I sent an inspector $400, and the inspector just walked in and he was like, bro, this needs to be condemned. Like it's actually it's destroyed, right? And they were trying to wholesale the deal for almost market price. So I was like, oh, well, that's not gonna work, guys. And the inspector was like, that's horrible, man. Like, I'm not even gonna write a report. I mean, there's asbestos, there's mold, there's absolutely everything. The roof is falling apart. The foundation was shifting. It was horrible. So
wow. Yeah, and that's one thing people don't necessarily realize. They think that everything that comes from a wholesaler is a deal, and is not the case.
Oh no, 100% it's not.
Yeah,
I would say if you're in Canada and you're talking to a wholesaler, it's probably a good deal. But if you're talking in the US with wholesalers, really watch out and do your own research right there. It's absolutely important.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any other research that you was involved before buying this property?
Yeah, I pulled my own comps, of course. I pulled my own comps. I checked the neighborhood. What else? Yeah. Okay. Just pretty much comps. What you want is like to see if it actually makes sense with the numbers, right? So as soon as I saw that a couple of comps were, really suggesting 60, 65,000 for ARV, I was like, I'm okay put in like 50% of it in cash, right?
Okay, so what's the future plan there? You're going to buy more in the same market, different markets? Are you going to buy in Canada? What's the plan?
Yeah, so the plan right now is, I don't know if you know Amar. He used to be a wholesaler as well on the team. So we have started a wholesaling company on the US as well. So we just got, we're starting on the markets of Cleveland, Columbus, and we have people in Fort Lauderdale. So we're gonna focus right now on those 3 markets. We're pretty much gonna, try to do the same thing we did here, do a lot of wholesale deals, but we're of course getting the better ones. Talking with a bunch of private lenders just to see, who's willing to invest in a Canadian.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much that's it. The plan right now is to wholesale on those markets and then to keep the best deals that we can find. And then, just wholesale the rest just to have those cash reserves and being willing to put those into the investments. That's the plan. And of course, getting a lender. I think that's my main goal right now, is just to actually talking to a lender and, just building a relationship with a private lender or raising some money. That way we can find those fantastic cash flowing deals that are great on their market value, and then we can burn for sure.
Okay. And then I know like typically there's just not as much public information in Canada as like it is in the States. So is the plan you're going to buy lists down in the States, or
yeah, exactly. So that's what I feel like it's fantastic about the US that we don't have here in Canada. That would be so helpful for, I think, either for like people that are selling their houses.
Yeah.
The amount of information that you can get, like it's great. I mean, we pulled a list of we have a list of 3,000 contacts, I think, right now. That we can start, cold calling and just doing marketing messages and just sending, those yellow cards and all of that. And what the best thing is, like here, we used to spend, for me sending a flyer campaign to Barrie, it was around, I think, $6,000 or $7,000 to flyer the whole city. At the beginning, it was great. I was getting, a couple of deals out of each campaign, so it was great. But then when everybody started doing it, also like it was definitely tougher, and like there was more competition and more people sending the flyers. So it was $6,000-$7,000 that were sometimes didn't return anything, right? So it was pretty much just 6,000 sunken like into nothing. Meanwhile, I can spend $2,000 on the US and I get a list of probably like around 6,500 people that I can call, and I should get at least, if I do what I've seen and what we have researched and we've tried is you get a deal for every 1,000 calls. So if there's a list of 6,000, then I can probably pull six deals.
Yep.
So I mean, ROI on that is absolutely way better.
Yeah, and you're doing a more targeted list too.
Yeah, it's actually targeted, right? So there's softwares like PropStream or batchleads.io, and you can go in those and you can really just choose the market, and then you can filter out everything that you want. So you can put if the people died, if it's vacant, if it's if it's non-owner occupied. You can put how much equity they have on the house. So that is fantastic because, for example, we choose lists that have over 50% of equity. That way we can pitch creative financing, right? Seller financing and all of those good things, VTBs, which is absolutely more common in the US, and a lot of people do know about that. So when you ask them, like, will you be open to seller finance? A lot of people do actually know what seller financing is, right? Meanwhile, you said here in Canada, like, hey, would you be open to seller finance? And they think you're trying to scam them, the whole thing, right? So that's what I really like about there. There's so many opportunities, and your marketing dollars can go really, really more, of course.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Anything I should have asked you before I got to the end?
I don't know. I think I'm seeing a big switch on Canadians, and like there probably a lot of people have been seeing that they're changing their mind on investing on the US. I mean, I think like with appreciation and like competition from bigger investors that already have the funds here. I mean, I can't go and compete with Jeff Weibel, right? So it's hard for me to, try to get a building apartment when I have the Jeff Weibels out there trying to, get the same apartment, right? And they already have all their stuff together. But it's absolutely easier for me to, go to Cleveland, Columbus, and even you can find good deals on Zillow and Redfin. There are good deals on the market, like I've seen, and I have a good realtor there in Cleveland, and she sends me like, hey, look at this listing, and like, and they're perfect. I mean, they cash flow, and you don't have to spend, $600,000 on a property. I mean, if you want to get into multifamilies, there's a bunch there on the Midwest. Like, there's a lot. And then also single families, again, so many right there available, and they all cash flow. I mean, not all of them, of course, you have to analyze them, but your opportunity to find a good deal on the US is so much easier than finding a good deal here in Canada.
Makes a lot of sense. Diego, if people wanted to track you down, get on your list, where's the best way to do that?
Yeah. So everybody can follow me on Instagram as well. Always, my IG's Diego Deals. A lot of people know me already there, so I think that's the best place. We will be creating kind of like a list with Amar, where people can join there and everything. We'll try to do the same thing we offered here, a full seller report where with the addresses, comps, market, and just breaking down the numbers and how much you could cash flow and everything. I mean, we got the ropes down of wholesaling pretty well here. So we just have to replicate the same thing on the US. And, there's a lot of people that have the funds already here, then they can go buy, 3 single family houses instead of just one. Right. So yeah, we'll create a list, but we don't have that yet. So just follow me on Instagram, and then we can chat there for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, no, thank you, Glenn. It was fantastic.